now bring in our first discussant, Mark Lowcock, on my right here, who is Director General of Country Programmes in DFID, probably very familiar to many of you, but who also in his career with DFID has actually spent quite a long time sort of living and working in Africa, and I'm sure you'll bring in a number of those personal reflections. So Mark, I'm going to give you 5+ minutes.
Thank you very much indeed. I like the plus. Firstly, I thought those were two really, really interesting presentations, and in particular, you had a different cut on some of the data than I've seen before. So I'm looking forward to reading the full report. I am, and have been for a long time actually, an Afro-optimist. I remember going for an interview in 10 Downing Street in 1997 and being asked, I was living in Africa at the time, being asked questions about whether there was any hope for Africa, and not getting the job because I failed to persuade the interviewer that there was hope for Africa. And it's been something of a, I've enjoyed the fact that over the last 10, 12 years, everyone has got more and more positive about Africa, and Alison alluded to that at the beginning. I'm now at the stage where my stock market investment strategy is to do the opposite of what everyone else is doing. So I'm now at the stage where, because everybody thinks that Africa is booming, I'm starting to ask one or two questions about it. 2 or 3 things I wanted to say. I mean, firstly, why have we had this progress? I thought you set that out very well. And policy matters, and policy has got better. And you had really good examples of that. This is good news for think tanks, by the way. The second thing, which you didn't say so much about, is that the improvement in the terms of trade have helped a lot of countries. And a third thing that, again, you didn't say quite so much about is what's been happening on conflict governance and security. And there the position is a little bit more patchy. Some steps forward, some stalling. But overall, my contention would be, compared to 20 years ago, in most countries things are quite a bit better than they were. Secondly, just a couple of points about the role of aid and bilateral financing organisations like DFID in particular. As some of you will know, we are busy reviewing the future of our bilateral aid programme and our contribution to multilateral organisations as well. In a business plan we published, we committed ourselves to announce the results of all that by the 1st of March, so I'm expecting that we will do that. Some things are going to change as a result of what's been happening in Africa. There's much less reliance on development finance. This is a good thing, but it also means that development finance providers have to be smarter. There are more and different players, so the landscape is different. That has big implications as well. What we will do in the future is, in Africa and elsewhere, try to focus on the places where the biggest challenges remain. And we are going to follow Lisbeth's strategy, focusing on the absolute challenges as the area where we think we can make the biggest impact on results and achieve the best value for money. The areas we will focus on are, by far the biggest area will be direct programs to support MDGs. We'll have a much stronger effort on wealth creation and development of the private sector. We will continue to invest heavily in programs that have potential to reduce and prevent conflict and improve governance and security. And we will try to get a lot better at handling climate change and resource pressures. I've got 2 more points. The first thing is, I think we always need to be really alive to the things we don't know. As people may know, we've made a big investment in DFID over the last 10 years in supporting the progress that was described in access to education. And what we've done is focus on publicly financed education systems. Over the last year, it's become increasingly clear to us that we've been missing a big piece of the action. I've been to 12 or 15 schools in Nairobi, Lagos and Lahore over the last 9 months, all of which are low-cost, proprietor-owned private schools where parents pay $3 or $4 a month to send their girl or boy to school. In Lagos, which has a population bigger than the average population of an African country, at least 70% of the children, some people think 90%, are in those low-cost private schools. hundreds of thousands in Nairobi as well, well over 1 million in the Punjab. This is an area we've been missing, and there's a whole load of other things we're missing, I'm sure. We need to be alive for those things. The last thing I wanted to say is I think that countries and their friends, including organisations like ours, need to get much more effective at supporting the economic, social and political empowerment of women and girls. I think the returns to that are enormous, and I think that will be a big feature of the next decade of effort by countries and certainly by organisations like DFID.
Thank you very much, and thank you. Didn't even have to give you your plus. That's brilliant. Thank